Oregani Riches, welcome back to the channel. This week in our history, I'm going to review some things that stuck out during this week in our history. Also, be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of the video, where oftentimes I discuss young people who are making history today. Okay, my name is Renee and I love studying about our history. So in this week, our history, March the 10th, Harriet Tubman, abolitionist and Union spy, dies in 1913. March the 11th, Lorraine Hansberry's play, A Raisin in the Sun, debuted on Broadway in 1959. March the 12th, Andrew Young was America's first to serve as a chief delegate of the UN in 1932. March the 13th, the Confederate Army allows slaves to be soldiers in 1865. March the 14th, 7 African Americans challenged taxation without representation in 1870. March the 15th, John W. Lee Jr. becomes the first African American Navy officer in 1947. That's less than 100 years ago. March the 16th. March the 16th. Freedom's Journal. Oh my gosh. March the 15th. Freedmen's Journal, first African American newspaper, was published in 1827. Now that's the highlights from our week in history. Be sure to become a part of the family here on RichRootz, and also click that notification bell so you will be notified when we upload. Stay tuned for part 2, okay? Because that's when I go on my Instagram timeline. I research some news that I find that highlights our finest in our community. This is your girl Renee. Keep it locked for part 2. Peace. On my Instagram timeline, I found this story about Esther Rolle. You may remember her from the sitcom Good Times. However, she has a lot of work under her belt. So I saw this picture on Instagram, and I'll go ahead and read the caption. It started with, she attended Yale. I never knew that. She became the first woman to receive a NAACP Chairman's Civil Rights Leadership Award for helping raise the image of blacks. When she died in 1998, which is the same year she actually recorded her last feature film or movie or television show, she left an estate valued in excess of $1.7 million, including $200,000 in cash and a $400,000 home. She had $1 million in treasuries. In addition, she owned 1,000 shares of Beth Dames Corporation, several mutual funds, and 2% interest in El Toro Unlimited. We pay tribute to Esther Rolle and all of her accomplishments. A few African Americans started to protest taxation without representation in 1780. And I want to give you a little history about that. It was called the Blacks' Petition Against Taxation Without Representation, March the 14th, 1790. Now in 1797, African American residents of Massachusetts presented the following very thoughtful petition to the legislature. Their protest was simple. They were being taxed and were not allowed to vote. The relationship between taxation and representation, they pointed out, was too well known to need a recital in this place. They said, to the Honorable Council and House of Representatives in General Court Assembly for the State of Massachusetts, Bay in New England, March the 14th, 1790, the petition of several poor Negroes and mulattoes who were inhabitants of the town of Dartmouth humbly sheweth that we, being chiefly of the African extract and by reason of long bondage and hard slavery have been deprived of enjoying the profits of our labor or the advantage of inheriting estates from our parents as our neighbors, the white people, do, having some of us not long enjoyed our own freedom. And yet of late, contrary to the invariable custom and practice of the country, we have been and now are taxed both in our polls and that small pittance of estate which through much harder labor and industry we have got together to sustain ourselves and families withal. So I'm going to post this right here. It's 3 paragraphs, but it is very well written. Now on to a beautiful young doctor named Patricia Bath. If you actually wear glasses, if you wear contacts, if you ever thought about having laser surgery, you should know Patricia Bath. A beautiful black woman who invented the laser eye surgery in 1981. She is actually 76 years old today, and she is still living well. Let's give her a hand clap. Again, I did go through and check this information against Wiki, and it definitely is true. She owns at least 5 different patents that all have to do with laser surgery. She's had an exhibit at the Smithsonian Museum. She has been honored by the American Medical Women's Association. She's actually in that Hall of Fame. She's also in the Museum of Vision for the American Academy of Ophthalmology. She's received a Tribeca Film Festival Award. She's in the Association of Black Women Physicians. She has a Lifetime Achievement Award. She's an Alpha, Kappa Alpha. She's won the Howard University Charter Day Award. Been in Time Magazine as first woman who were changing the world. She's a Hunter College Hall of Fame. I mean, she has so many awards and accolades, and this is a wonderful thing for all of us. So, shout out to Esther Rolle. Shout out to Patricia Bath, or Dr. Bath. And shout out to the blacks in Massachusetts, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, who posed the question of taxation without representation in 1790. It didn't start here in DC 20 years ago. This was something that started in 1790. Thank you so much for watching our histories this week. I love doing these stories because I love learning about our history, and I hope that I'm able to pass some information on to you, because our history should always be told, never sold. Peace.